Hey, welcome back in today's video. The case against William Control. A lot of you guys have heard about this. William Control was the frontman for Aiden for about 12 years before he tried to repurpose his brand into just a solo act of William Control. And then some very bad allegations came out. We're going to be talking about this. I feel like it's really important. I have a list of people on topics and I've promised to talk about, and this is on the list. So we're just going to go over it, and I want to know what your guys' thoughts are about this. As always, all links to sources will be in the description. If you're unfamiliar, William Control was an American electronic music project funded in 2008 in Seattle, Washington, at the height of the MySpace days. It was the side project of Aiden's William Francis before Aiden's hiatus, and he later operated as William Control full time. So there were some very, very, very serious allegations back, I think, about around 2018. Many of the allegations came from a Tumblr account talk about the sex cult, to which it no longer exists. Now, I've been told that some of the allegations were backed by people that was in William's life and previous band members. I can't explore into this, obviously, because it no longer exists. But the original article that used this as a source is by Alt Press, and it did come out in July 10th of 2018. The case against William Control. Digging deeper reveals a larger story on abuse allegations. It says William became the subject of a wave of online allegations in various forms of abuse. He has been accused of multiple counts of excessive sexual violence and psychological gaslighting under the guise of BDSM. Multiple women have came forward accusing the singer of various acts of coercion, including convincing them into getting branded with tattoos, submitting financial extortion, pressuring them to become cam girls and to make money for him, requiring they sign a contract in their blood, and requesting that they say a daily prayer to him. They do post this daily prayer on this. Now, when I'm reading this, it's very closely mirroring Keith Rainier's sex cult NXIVM, I believe, which I covered this back in around 2008. So when I read the prayer, the article says that he would make the girls read this. I am my master's whore. There will never be another with whom I give my affection, trust, lips. This is very, very, very similar to that sex cult. Keith Rainier had women to call him master. He had them to sign contracts. He had them to do all these various different things. So when I'm first reading this prayer, it seems very misogynistic, at face value. And that's where my brain goes, is to that. So I took a clip of this prayer and I posted it on Twitter, and I said, this is not good. Then I was let to know that this is supposedly a form of BDSM where there's supposed to be a Lord's Prayer. See, I'm unfamiliar with this. I did slight research and did find out that it is some sort of religion kink, and William did retweet when I did delete and say, why you kink shaming me, bro? Of course, as soon as I became aware that this could be any form of kink shaming, I did say, I deleted my recent tweet criticizing William Control's Lord's Prayer. Going to look deeper into this. The things that I've read so far mirror sex cult NXIVM, branding, calling of master, signing contracts in blood. That's when I was reached out to by one of his wives. Now, I am in contact with one of his wives who wants to do an interview possibly tomorrow. So if that happens and you guys are interested in that, I will be putting that up. I'm also in contact with William, who does seem to want to answer any questions that I might have. I asked his wife, Nikki, if I could read her explanation for some things publicly, and she did agree to do that. So I'm going to read what the conversation was between me and her. I said, Alt Press claims allegations of branding, signing in blood, things of that nature, with several allegations which I understand he has addressed. I'm trying to understand those things as well as his Lord's Prayer. She says that to start off, everyone's relationship with him had similarities and differences. For example, not every girl had a relationship with a signed contract or had to sign anything in blood. Things like that were specific to the limits and desires of the specific relationships and the women involved. If they had something they wanted to do, he would oblige. And I did do some research on this, and I did find out that cults aren't illegal. They're not an illegal thing. And as long as everything is consensual and nothing is illegal, though there are going to be some things that are different and you wouldn't feel morally correct, that doesn't mean that it is something wrong in the eyes of the law. When I first started talking to him, we had normal conversations. We both knew we were into kinky things, and when things started to getting flirty and romantic, he explained to me the kind of relationship he was looking for, what he would expect from me, and what I could expect from him in return. The gist was that I would address him a certain way, daddy being my preference after trying out sir. However, some women do refer to him as sir instead. Ask permission, come to him before made big decisions. At the beginning of our relationship, I was in a lot of debt and struggling to make ends meet. I asked him for a lot of help with getting out of that, and we decided that a rule would specifically be to help me from overspending and wasting money, not being irresponsible, in which I managed to pay off all my debt and truly have him to thank. But that's besides the point, I suppose. A lot of us don't like to be controlled, but I think in the BDSM culture, that's a thing. But one of the main reasons that I am making this video and putting it out there is so you guys know what I'm saying, and if I'm talking to you something about I don't fully understand, if someone out there does, they can enlighten me. She goes on to say, basically with most DS relationships, you lay out the rules, your limits, your desires, etc. In the beginning, so everyone knows what to expect. Being in the kink community, my idea of a dominant is someone who will guide their submissive. For some submissives, it's their dom micromanaging them, and they enjoy and encourage it. Will and I are not specific in our power dynamic since it started as a long-distance relationship. I was left to make my own decisions and be more independent. Even now that we live together, I would consider myself an independent submissive. There is a difference between lifestyle BDSM and bedroom BDSM, and I think our relationship plays in the middle ground somewhere. Again, this is not something that I'm super familiar with, nor is it something that I'm trying to teach you. This is not a BDSM learning video, but I did do a little bit of research on this. One article says, for most people, being DS will be something that they only do for a period of time. For example, just in a prearranged scenes, often but not always involving sex. Such scenes could involve any kind of exchange of power. For example, the submissive person might serve the dominant one food or give them a massage and other different things like that. What I come to notice is like you're not going to find any or like .gov sites talking about this stuff. I think this is very underground cult following type things. That maybe that's not the best type of word to use, but it seems like it's not very widely known. I'm not 100% sure on that, so let me know if you know anything about that. She admits that she did have a brand tattoo. However, after Alt Press article was released, I was harassed and targeted for it, so I covered it out of fear that my job would be at risk. When I got it, I was living in a different state from him. I chose the design myself and paid for it myself. The day I got it was so special to me. I was overjoyed to have the tattoo. Branding in the BDSM community is a way to prove your devotion to your partner. Some subs are tattoo branded with an image or letter, some with the full name, others will scar it. It's seen as a goal in their submissive and is supposed to be positive celebratory thing. Not all submissives do it, and I would go as far as to say it's somewhat of a big responsibility to get a brand tattoo. I have a collar as well. Similar to wedding rings in the community, collars mark someone belonging to them. See, I didn't know any of these things, but I can see where these lines are very, very thin. When you're especially dealing with someone who has a large platform, who was a singer, who had an audience, played at Warped Tour, there's power dynamics involved. So, let's read further. Owner, master, dom, in some cases, people will have full collaring ceremonies to give their submissive the necklace, while others have a small little event with just them and their submissive. I happened to have the flu when I got mine, so he ended up just coming over and laying with me and surprising me with it. The prayer was given to me a few months after we had decided to have a relationship with each other. I'm going to try and not be too TMI here, but he and I share a religion kink. So the prayer was something I was extra into. Lol. So basically she goes in to explain religion kinks and stuff like that, which I did do a little bit of research on that. And again, it's something that's not very surface level knowledge. And I turn to you guys to ask you, people that are well experienced in the BDSM community, like, tell me if this is normal, if this is an okay thing. Appreciate it. But you don't have to go in like the TMI details. I just need to know basically is this a thing, or is this an excuse? Thanks. Now with that all being said, I think it's also necessary to say, though my kink play may be strange and make some people uncomfortable question why anyone would be interested in it, at the end of the day, the rules are set with love and the hope for the submissive to feel cared for and become better for themselves. At least in this case, and at the end of the day, we are pretty normal people outside of fetishes. BDSM is a vast land of kinks and interesting play. There are all sorts of extremes and all sorts of softer play. Now I do want to say, I feel like this video is very, very important to make, because I've long since known that predators use BDSM as a guise. They'll disguise themselves. They'll put a bad name on the BDSM community. We've seen it with Dobby Vanity. Most of his assaults, he told the girl that, you didn't know this was BDSM. Not an okay thing to do. He also says, circling back to the Alt Press article, they ignored multiple emails from women with him and women with good experiences with him. The article was based on falsities, and every other article just copied and pasted and ignored anyone who tried to give any other point of view. Another accuser, Stormy, was outed as using the scandal as a way to make money for survivors. Now, I have watched a good bit of William Control's videos defending himself. He shows a lot of evidence and debunks a lot of different things. I'm going to put those in the description below. However, my point of this video is I don't feel comfortable not saying something about this, because it does need to be looked into. It does need to be questioned, because both sides obviously are in disagreement. And at one point in time, Dobby Vanity did come out with his own videos defending himself. He didn't have all the evidence, and it does seem like William Control is very willing to cooperate and talk about these things. So he comes out with each individual video addressing specific different allegations against him. He goes into a lot of detail. If you guys want to watch that. And at the end of the day, you might not like a dude. He goes out and he says that a lot of things he did were not the best. He owns up to a lot of bad things. But at the end of the day, just because a person might not be a good person specifically in the eyes of the people doesn't mean that he's done illegal things that he needs to be arrested for. But in situations like this, my objective is to get all sides of the stories out there. That way we don't end up putting or hurting an innocent person, because you have to be very careful with situations like this. I am in contact with William, and I asked him if he wanted to make a public comment. He was not comfortable doing that, saying that he was just wanted to be left alone. So I do completely understand that. But my purpose for doing this and putting this out here is as we know, there's always more than one side to every story. So I feel like it is important to talk about these allegations, not in any type of perpetuation of negativity, but just to be safe, because had anything happened, I don't want to look back on it and know I could have done something. I could have used my platform to help, and I didn't do anything. With the Dobby Vanity situation, for example, I made my videos, people reached out, and if William Control is completely innocent of all these allegations, then he has nothing to worry about. That's the way that I see it. But let me know what you guys think about this, because as interesting as this is, there's always something that's more interesting to me. That's right, you guys said. I want to know what you think. So why don't you go ahead and leave your creative and interesting responses in the comment box below. Thumbs up for those likes. As always, brothers and sisters, I will see you in the next video. I don't, as of now, I do not think that I'm going to pursue an investigation into William Control. I'll have to wait and see. Like I said, Nikki said that she was willing to do an interview to talk about that, so I think there could be a disconnect in type of relationships of what's normal and what's not normal. Societal norms and folkways versus individual norms and folkways could be vastly different. So I think hearing her perspective on the relationship would be something. I'd like to thank my patrons. You guys are awesome. Really appreciate all the support. I am, and I know, I said I've been working on merch all year, and still there's no new merch, but I am still working on it. I have just been completely distracted with all these topics. We're doing the Davi Vanity investigation. It's been very, very time consuming, but like I said, I'm planning to move back to more frequent uploads and regular content. I'm looking to do an Exploring YouTubers video next week, maybe even tomorrow if I don't do the rep reports. So look forward to Exploring YouTubers videos, rep reports, and other content. Even some wholesome content would probably be really good. I'm also trying to get to 10,000 Facebook followers this year. We just surpassed 6,000, so if you want to help me with that, it's also a great place to get a hold of me. Allow me a couple days. I'm checking all my DMs today, all of them, so if you need to get a hold of me, you will hear from me for today. So that's a really cool thing. And that's just another way to show that you're repping. If you're not repping, you're Greg, and how you do that, all you gotta do is subscribe and notifications turned on. Be in the comment section to every single video, because I'm going to be there. Greg the Cat's going to be there, and the rest of the Repzilla community as well, and I expect you to see that too, because this channel loves you. Oh yeah, I'm making a podcast. I think I'm going to call it This Channel Loves You Podcast, TCLU. Let me know your thoughts on that.